司法取引クラウスが犯人だと認めた。エリカは夏日に対する以後は所在不明のクラウスが犯人ということで追及を。どうするベアト。このままじゃ夏日やばい。司法取引を受ける。後宮家の名誉とやらを放棄するならベルンの甘い配慮よ。
Kraus is currently missing, and it's unknown whether he's alive or dead. Like Kinzo, he's no different than a cat in a box that has disappeared into the mists of the island. A cat inside a box is unfixed, and no interpretation of it can be denied. It is the root of endless interpretations, the true source of the Endless Witch's power. In other words, no matter how much Bernkastel claims that Kraus is the culprit, she can't make that sole truth. In other words, the Kraus culprit theory and the witch theory can be in almost perfect balance. It would mean making the game a draw. That's not what we're here for. This was cajolery, offering her a second chance if she abandons the honor of the family she swore to protect, and consents to a fragment that stomps all over that honor. There's no room for false confidence. For Beato, to lose is to die. In this game, she should always choose a draw unless she has an overwhelming advantage.
夫は犯人呼ばわりなどさせません。夫は後宮家次期と後宮家の栄光を受け継ぐ唯一の人、その人間に犯罪者の汚名を着せるなど断じて許しません。
Let him know. Sound off, Queen.
良いのか夏日クラウスを疑ることを放棄するなら、そなた以外の全員のアリバイの証明、すなわち
Temple's Raven can fucking suck it. Y'all know my feelings on that
何
one.
の証拠もなくそなたを犯人だと断定できてしまう。私しか残らなければ何だというのですか。
Man, Battler's gonna come in with the fucking I object.
私は逃げも隠れもしない。私は潔白です。そして心に片翼のわしを刻む高潔なる当主代行です。
Sound off, Queen.
私を罵りたければ罵り、あざけりたければあざけりなさい。誰にも虚実で私の名誉を傷つけることなどできはし
Fucking
な
let
いの
him
です。
know. With a dignified voice, Nazi stated her case openly before the witches above her. However, this response of hers might have been exactly what Bernkastel had intended.
夏日は取引を。ベアトは分かってるわね。夏日が特定された瞬間にラムダは判決。その瞬間に魔女幻想は否定され、夏日のくだらない意地に地獄の底まで付き合うつもり。
Where's my man?
リーチ、あんたはよく戦っ、ここが潮時よ。夏日を説得してなんとかギリギリの。
ラムダデルタ教もベルンカステル教も真の敵はお嬢。このゲームをまだ繰り返し遊びたい。お嬢様が譲歩するところを見せる。次のゲームに仕切り直すはずです。
次のゲームに仕切り直され、このかけらの夏日をどう。そんなの気にしてる場合じゃないでしょ。夏日なんて所詮5枚。このゲームで取り除かれても次のゲームではまた登場するわ。
しかしお嬢、今回のゲームでベルンカステル教、それを生かし次回のゲームで勝利を目指す方が現実的です。ここはベルンカステル教の取引に乗るのが唯一。
くだらないプライドは捨てなさい。カスパロフもディープブルーも無敗じゃないわ。最後に勝率で勝者を決めるんでしょ。一つの勝負、一つの人生、一つの駒に魔女が執着し死ぬわよ。すまぬがそういうわけ。誰もが違うと言っても自分それを捨てなければならなかった男の悔しさ。わらわは夏日をなぜか誰もが夏日を疑うのなら
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell
疑
yeah.
う者と信じる者の狭間にこそ見つけ出せるから。わらわはミス。誰もが夏日を犯人と信じるなら、それでもそれが主張できるならわらわの存在価値など負け。真実ってのはさ、自分が疑って捨てた時に消え去るんだよ。
Let him know.
それがベアトの返事。
ああ、後宮クラウスは犯人にあらず。バカがもう取り返しはつかない。愚か者の短期にふさわしい奇跡の魔女。
ベルンカス後ろ宮クラウスはそしてとっくに殺すあんたに電話で声を聞かせた直後に
Bruncaster's cruel and ruthless red blade gouged Nazi. It was totally merciless. Nazi had been crushed with uncertainty, not knowing whether Kraus was alive or dead. But she had still been capable of believing that he was alive. By now, that hope, that expectation, had been crushed, without any chance for a miracle. She had thrown herself into this trap out of concern for her husband's safety. She had now lost her daughter and husband, and everything she had gained since marrying into the Yoshiromiya family. Now, even after all this, one thing still remains. Her husband has been lost. Right now, she is the last person who could protect the honor of the Yoshiromiya family. She still couldn't let it end here. Even wrapped up in so much sadness, Natsuki would do all she could to protect that honor. This final bit of strength.
いいえ、残りの食堂の人間は全員1時までつまりもう夏日以外全員のアリバイは証明されてる。
Nah, it ain't game over yet. It ain't game over yet.
見事だったわ。あなたたちは後ろ宮夏日以外に主文から読み上げようかしら。被告後ろ宮先に就寝すると偽り、実質午前1時までの1時間の間にジョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、ローザ、現時の5人を次々殺害したわ。主文追加状況証拠からクラウスの殺害もそうね。クラウスを殺せるのだってこの状況じゃ夏日。主文を訂正するわ。午前1時までの1クラウス、ジョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、ローザ、現時の6人を次々殺害したわ。
I can't wait. I can't wait. Yo, we're at this point where it's like all hope is lost, right? Nah, there's a turnaround. There's a turnaround. You fucking know it.
いずれも24時からの1時間のその1時間の間にアリバイを持たない。以後ゲームは被告を真犯人として扱い、また事件が人間の犯行で無限の魔女ベアトリ当幻想法廷はあんたの存在を神戸の機会があるけど夏日のアリバイを証明、もしくは夏日以外がそれさえできれば夏日は黒ギリギリのあんたの存在否定は今回は保留されるけど。
If Nazi had an alibi, Beato would have shown it long ago. In fact, wasn't the whole point of that trap to make her lose her alibi?
アリバイの証明などなくともそなたらが偽りの真実をどう決め、わらわこそが夏日は無実である。たとえ証拠がなくとも真相は六軒島の夜の主黄金の部屋。私は後宮夏日夫なき今、私が後宮家の当主です。我が心いかなる恥ずかしめにも口切ることがありません。
Fuck yeah.
それはなぜお父様が私に心に片翼のわしの紋章を刻むことを私の心臓に刻まれた紋章と名誉をできません。私の心に刻まれた後宮家の紋章は不滅なのです。
Let him know. Now that Nazi and Beatrice had practically been placed on the guillotine, they cried out with all their strength and their determination. That did nothing but bring a cold smile to Lambda Delta's face. Where's my man? Attica had constructed a truth that Lambda Delta could accept. And no one could construct a more convincing truth to deny Attica's. In that case, the most convincing truth would swallow up everything else and become the one and only truth. Even if it happened to be different from the real truth. The truth of those in the past is swallowed up by the truth of those in the future. That's the saying. Yep. This can happen even for a mixture of truth and lies. As long as everyone acknowledges it as true.
よく吠えること。私は魔女が火あぶりになるときは命あんたみたいな虚勢を張るのは一番
Where's my man? Where's my man? Bruh, you know, fucking Delanora came into the fucking arbor and said, I can't wait to cross swords with you again, battler. So they said they were looking forward to it, that neither of them were gonna hold back. I'm getting that moment. I'm fucking getting that moment. I mean, I don't even know if that moment's happening in this episode. I don't give a shit. We're getting that moment. And I feel like something's going down. I mean, obviously something's going down. You know Balor's about to pop off. In one way or another, he's about to pop off. I don't know what. The fact that it still hasn't happened, the anticipation, it's got me fucking... I'm fucking hyped. So fucking hyped. I keep saying hyped, I know, but Jesus. God damn. Let's go.
その虚勢を打ち砕く赤き真実を私から
何ですかよせもはやそなたの望んだその真実と汚さないでやってくれ頼む
Of course not. Burn knows no mercy.
夏日金蔵があんたの心に片翼のあんたの妄想の中の金蔵の言葉でしょ本当の金蔵はね生涯あんたを心の底から信頼しあんたに紋章を許そうと思ったこともただの一度もないわ
When that heartless announcement was made, Kinzo stood up.
夏希耳を貸すでないそなたの心に刻まれた紋章はそなただけのも後宮家の最後の当主としての誇りを永劫に忘れるな夏希
やかましいわ夏日のゲロカス妄想
消せぬぞ我が魂は夏日が心に紋章を刻み続ける限りな
この嘘つき幻想が本当の金蔵はそんな消えなさい夏日によって美化された夏日にとって都合のいい夏日の中の妄想の金
A bright red flash of lightning smashed Kinzo over and over again as he screamed. Yeah? Yeah? Then he crumpled like a doll, sat back down in his chair as though nothing had happened. Fierce emotion had left Kinzo's face. He had truly become like a wax model. And so, he would never again share kind words with Natsu. That's right. The true Kinzo. Never once trusted Natsu during his entire life. The true Kinzo. Never once considered allowing Natsu to bear the one-winged eagle. Because of course, Kinzo had already vanished before the start of the game. The Kinzo that appears in this game is nothing more than Natsu's delusion. Every part of this Kinzo, who believed in Natsu and entrusted her with protecting the family honor, was a phantom, created by Natsu.
哀れな後宮金蔵の信頼を生涯得られなかった真実を
夏日泣くなそなたは金蔵に後宮家を託されたのであろう
No, he didn't. Not only did he not entrust her with that, he never even said hello, or met her gaze even once. Natsu's cry was a mixture of sadness and many other emotions, and it echoed throughout the cathedral. Natsu could no longer stop her tears. Some last faint element that had cheered her up until today had allowed her to endure as an Ushiromiya, as the wife to the head's representative, and as the final family head, had been torn to bits. Natsu no longer had anything left. Natsu could no longer allow herself to even call herself an Ushiromiya. Those difficult days, those painful days, those days where she still gave everything she could for the family she'd married into despite it all. The very few happy days among these All of these filtered through her mind one after another and disappeared. All of those once beautiful memories were then crushed by Bernkastel's red truth, smashed to bits and scattered, plunged deep into her hands, and smeared red with mournful blood. It was the red of sadness and truth.
以上です。ただ事件がそこに存在する古田エリカはこの程度の推理がいかがでしょうか、皆様方。
Lambda Delta clapped. Then a bit later, Bernkastel also clapped, looking pleased. The expressionless wax figure-like audience followed suit, and the unshakable verdict was welcomed with great applause. And so, the truth of this tale was decided. Or was it? Where's my man? The music shift? Yeah, yeah. Come on. Right now, no humans exist on this island except for those in this parlor. And with one exception, it has been shown that none of them have committed murder. And the culprit is among these people.
おいおい、となると決定的じゃねえか。
魔女が犯人で魔法で殺人を犯したわけで。あんたなの？あんたがジョージをどうしてよ、どうして？私は何も。
In a panic, with a voice that was far from calm, in a manner that was, to put it coldly, unsightly, Aunt Nancy denied the suspicion placed upon her. However, there's no longer any way around it. She stood up, brushed back her long hair, pointed at Nazi, and said it one more time.
あなたが犯人です、後宮夏日さん。
Red-faced and tear-streaked, Ava walked up to Nazi and grabbed her by the collar. Then wordlessly she slapped Nazi's cheek. Nazi, who had never been slapped in her life, was shocked by the taste of iron which she was feeling for the first time. And it turned into a scuffle between Ava and Nazi. Battler immediately tried to stop them, but Ava planted a sharp knee into Battler's gut and he doubled over.
返してよ、ジョージと夫を返してよ。どうして殺したのよ、この人殺し。
Sobbing, Ava kicked Nazi, who had fallen to the ground over and over. Battler tried once more to cut in and stop them, but he was brushed aside. And after that, no one tried to stop them. Repeating her son and husband's name over and over, Ava kicked Nazi. And kicked her. Then she started grabbing whatever her eyes fell upon and throwing it. Nazi was hit with a steaming teacup. And a can of black tea whose tea leaves fell out all over her. She was kicked, her hair pulled and dragged up, her cheeks slapped so many times it started to swell. No one tried to stop it. It wasn't because they were worried about Ava kicking them too. It's because they thought it an appropriate act of retribution for a person who had lost her beloved son and husband. A proper retribution. A proper truth. Everyone in the parlor accepted that Nazi was the culprit. They accepted the truth Erika claimed. So it became a proper truth, and Nazi was designated as the proper culprit. She had already lost a husband and daughter who might have protected her, and even Kinzo should have given her a final bit of strength had already vanished like a bubble in the ocean of illusions. No longer would anyone protect her. No longer would anyone believe her. So she was now the true culprit. Ava's shoulders heaved with her heavy breathing. Apparently her anger still hadn't abated. Erika patted the shoulder and made Ava take a step back. Of course, this wasn't to protect Nazi from violence. It was to further humiliate Nazi, now that she had been branded as the culprit.
夏日さん、私は3つのフーダニット、ハウダニット、そして最後の謎。ホワイダニットはどうかミステリーのルールにした。これが三流ミステリーなら、 そろそろ夏日さんが悲しい過去話を始めるタイミングなのですが、まさかそれまで私がしなくてはなりませんか？私は誰か信じて！私は何者かに夫を人質に取られ脅迫されて罠にはめられただけなんです。
Nazi. With her hair a mess and her face red and tear-streaked, protested to everyone, but no one met her gaze, as it has already been resolved that Nazi was the culprit. Because Lambda Delta had acknowledged that the culprit of this tale was Nazi and had woven it that way, none of the pieces would pay any heed to Nazi's, to the culprit's words.
夏日は犯人では我こそは黄金そなたらが夜の闇に怯えた年頃よりはるかに前から君臨するなぜわらわの罪とせぬか。わらわを認めよ。全てはわらわの人間が犯人ということなど断じてあってはならぬわ。
The illusion of the witch had already been crushed, and Beato's voice didn't reach anyone. The verdict had already been made. Everything had been decided.
聞こえてないわよ。あんたは幻、ただの幻想。お帰りなさい。ただの肖像画に金像の幻想を親族が共有することによって生まれた、それがこの世界の選んだ真実なのよ。さあ大ラブだ。この魔女を語るおこがましき愚かな幻想を今こそ葬り去りたまえ。さようなら。あなたを魔女にしたのは私のお友達。私の退屈を紛らわしてくれるか。そしてあなたは期待に応えてくれた。後者のね。
わらわは魔女である。ラムダデルタ教に認められずとも魔女であるわ。
私が後見人にならなかったらそれを信じることもできなかったくせに。さあ、あなたはこれでゲームオーバーよ。あなたを葬る方法はあなたのゲーム版のルールに従ってあげる。
Nah, it's not game over
あ
yet.
なたのゲームでは敗者はどうなるんだっけ。すでにベアトが過去のゲームで一度生きた肉の塊にしてヤギの晩餐会に放り込んで食い散らかされるのよ。ふさわしい最後だわ。ベアトリーチェ、高慢ちきなあんたの断末魔が聞きたくてはるばるこんなところまでやってきたのだから。
Nah, 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 nah. One by one, a massive number of goat attendants slipped out from the shadows of the pillars and began to fill the cathedral. The goats paid no attention to Nazi, who was seated at the center, but the crowd completely enveloped her. From Beato's point of view, up on the balcony, probably looked like a huge boiling pot of goats.
そうであるな。もとよりそういう契約であったな。
そう。あなたが私を楽しませることができ、その身をもって私の退屈。さあその女から魔女の座を奪いヤギの釜へ放り込みなさい。
Suddenly there were goats standing right behind Beato. They lifted her up roughly.
良い悲鳴を聞かせてね。
ならばそれを聞かせぬのがわらわの。やった、言わせた。それを捨て台詞にしてくれる子が聞かせてくれる悲鳴が最上級。もちろんベアトリーチェ。
The goats carrying Beato no longer viewed her as their master. They're holding her above the pot of clamoring goats, which were snorting heavily in anticipation. They threw Beato's slender body into the air. All at once, the squirming goats faced the heavens and raised their arms. It was almost as though they would be able to forget their pain for just a short while by devouring her flesh. As she flew through the air, Beato tried to smile boldly. It was so stiff that it seemed even more pathetic, much to Berncastle's amusement. When Beato fell into the pot, the goats caught her. Of course, they didn't do it gently. The arms of countless goats pulled at her flesh to keep it for themselves. They tried to tear her to bits. It didn't have to be flesh. Hair, fingernails, shoes, even bits of her dress worked just fine. The mouths of those goats were the gateway into hell. However, Beato was too big to enter into that gateway, so they had to chew and tear her into bits small enough to fit into it. Beato let out a bold laugh. She laughed from inside the pot of goats. However, her expression was very different from the one she had wanted. It was an expression not of a witch, but of a single human yelling in their death throes.